There's a mafia-like element in Russian intelligence. You look at Prigozhin and his gang. There are brutal killers in there, and they're also they operate internally as well. If there's a dissident to be taken care of, who do you think is that? So I would bet that the American teams are overall, on average, better people than the Russians. When the Soviet Union fell apart, the I I have a friend who grew up in Russia. He he had a degree in economics, and by the way, he became the number one pop star in Russia. He was and nowadays is my pastor. Yeah, I can send you some information about him. He's an interesting guy, but he was very much aware of what was going on in the country, and he said a lot of the ex-KGB agents became the most dangerous criminals. Okay, so we have bad element that historically was recruited by the KGB and most likely filtered into current intelligence services.
So as far as like how capable Russian intelligence is today, it's actually the GRU that's the most capable, right? Not the FSB?
Correct. FSB is the biggest one, but and they pretty much usurped the intelligence, the foreign intelligence gathering function. The SVR is the weakest of them all. Did you ever see that there was I don't know how the BBC got a hold of that tape where Putin embarrasses the head of the SVR in front of all his peers, and he like rips into him and made him like go like ooh. Yeah, it's amazing. You can sense that the guy must be peeing in his pants. He treats him like a school child. That's the SVR, very weak. The FSB is pretty weak. The GRU never changed. It was carried over from the KGB days. And when I was in the KGB or working with the KGB, I didn't even know that the GRU existed. It was top secret. And when it comes to getting rid of dissidents or even assassination attempts in other countries, that's all the GRU.
Well, wasn't there that one that I think it was in England? It was a man and his daughter on a park bench.
Yeah.
That they tried to poison.
Skripal, right? Yeah, and they managed to poison him, but they couldn't get out without being not detected. So that is their crack team. So when people ask questions as to whether I'm feeling safe, yeah, as long as I don't wind up in Moscow, I would probably fall out of a window. But they don't have that many teams to work these cases. And if the number one team is already not that good, whatever comes behind may not even be successful in killing their potential victim. So overall, I don't have a lot of respect for Russian intelligence these days. They don't have the finances. They don't have the means. The illegals that were caught in 2010 were arrested in 2010 were incredibly poorly trained. There's just not the expertise. It's more or less Putin is throwing volume at intelligence. If anybody who will go to the United States, most likely they know that the person is going to the U.S. and they're being asked to help the motherland out. So like this Maria Butina, rank amateur, but she managed to get close to some interesting people.
So who do you think then, like overall, is the most powerful and capable intelligence agency between maybe the CIA, the Mossad, the Russians, the Chinese?
The Mossad in in the days of Castro, it was also Cuban intelligence. Uh, Both the Mossad and Cuban particularly have the advantage that they have people of the enemy nations in their ranks. Like the Mossad has Arabic people that they employ, and the Cubans, they could count on the Cuban immigrants that were invited by us. Yeah, and yeah, in the old days, it was also East German, and Stasi. They were really good. Again, if you don't have these cultural barriers, you can have a whole lot more undercover illegals embedded. So.
And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about, as far as maybe what the Russians did well, how much truth or merit is there to the whole like honey trap and Red Sparrow?
Oh, it is true, except the Red Sparrow, the movie, is garbage. But it's espionage, absolutely. Yeah, the Russians did a good job with that. But I don't know if we do that. It was easier to recruit Russian women because of the lure of interacting with people from the West and getting access to things that they otherwise couldn't get. But in the Red Sparrow, it looks like they're being forced. That's nonsense. They were all volunteers, and they were being trained. Sure, yeah. But the whole idea. No, never mind. This is political stuff. That that they set up Trump. There's no evidence actually. There's none. If there were, it would be out already.
So what is the play then? Do they just like train them on how to seduce men, and then they go find men that either have access directly or indirectly and get them in compromising situations?
Yeah, of course. They document what they're doing, and then it can go out in public or it can go out to your family, and so give me the goods. And the woman herself doesn't have to do any of that. She just like is the instrument that hands over the material to somebody who can talk tough.
How many? I know you've been out of the game for a bit, but how many Russian spies do you think might be in the U.S. now?
A lot. But again, not professionals. Very few professionals. It's volume. Yeah, of course. In the Soviet embassy, there are some more better trained spies, but there were a lot more real professionals in the KGB ranks than what Russia has today. But it's a lot because, again, the amateurs. I'm not saying you should be anti-Russian, but you should be a little bit aware that you may be dealing with one of those amateurs, and be careful how you interact with them.
So I'm just thinking, like, as far as like foreign spies within the United States is a melting pot, right? It's not all Caucasian people. There's a lot of people of different ethnicities, so it might be easier to plant somebody in here that looks different and people wouldn't bat an eye at it. But is it more difficult for America to place spies elsewhere because of that?
No, what's the incentive? Going to the United States from another country, a lot of people, like, there's a lure there. Why would you want to go to Egypt undercover? And even if you're an Arab American, why would you want to do it unless you have some ideological drive, some reason? But that should be rather rare. And in the old days, the CIA didn't have a single undercover person in Russia. There was no incentive. Why would you want to go to Russia as even as somebody with Russian heritage, unless you had this incredible hatred for that regime? But that's a rarity.
Well, wouldn't they do it for like career advancement purposes. Like obviously, if it's not a very sought after role, like that's fine. You might not have to love it, but if you go there, you do your job, you come back in a few years, and maybe you get up in the ranks.
Well, again, yeah, I can't exclude that some people will do it, but I don't think there's a long line lined up for these jobs. You know, I told you I have a couple of friends who worked. The one worked in Al Qaeda, and the other one worked in the cartel. You know, these are not highly desirable jobs. Okay, it's not that the fellow who there was another one who another fellow that I was thinking of that I met who worked in the cartel, and he lived the life, the cocaine, the women. You know, he had to blend in, and he came out with PTSD. Okay, so yeah, there are some patriots, and there are people who it's not just about career; they just want to do the right thing. Yeah, but most people, and that is pretty much the truth. Most people will make decisions that are good for themselves and the people that they care about. This sacrificial Jesus-like behavior is a rarity.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the interview. If you got anything out of this video at all, please like the video, leave me a comment, tell me what you thought of the video, tell me who you'd like to see on the show. I really appreciate the support. It goes a long way on these platforms, as you guys know. Most importantly, I have some excellent interviews coming up in the future that I'm really, really excited about. So please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of them. But that's it. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it, and hope to see you again soon.